humans are a thriving species, we are constantly advancing in the modern world, creating new highways, buildings, and homes to support our needs. However, our constant growth has led to what is called urban sprawl. Urban sprawl is defined by the Environmental Protection Agency as the uncontrolled expansion of urban area into previously remote and rural areas. My main claim today is that urban sprawl negatively impacts the environment on a global scale. My secondary claims are that 1, urban sprawl increases pollution, 2, urban sprawl threatens biodiversity, and 3, rapid human population growth is detrimental to the environment. My first supporting claim is that urban sprawl increases pollution. Urbanization of an area calls for an increased use of vehicles. An article in the Los Angeles Times stated that vehicles exhaust more than 12 billion pounds of toxic chemicals each year into the air. Also, industrialization takes place in order to establish factories and businesses in the newly urbanized areas. According to Dr. Frumkin of the Center of Disease Control, more than 70% of the emissions of the greenhouse gas carbon dioxide today are due to city needs. Some of these chemicals include sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and mercury, all which are harmful to human health and promote the formation of smog and acid rain, which are ultimately detrimental mainly to aquatic systems, which brings me to my next point. My second supporting claim is that urban sprawl threatens biodiversity. Urban sprawl seizes millions of acres of land every year. John G. Mitchell, a former environmentalist and editor of the National Geographic magazine, found that more than half of the wetlands in the continental United States alone, not global, were lost to filling, channelization, dams, and other aspects of rural and urban development. Also, a study done by the Property and Environmental Research Center found that sprawl is claiming farmland at an alarming rate of 1.2 million acres a year. All of that means that it's loss of potential crop and food yields for humans and animals. The expansion of construction and other industrial processes promote habitat loss for native plants and animals. The United Nations claim that 18 million acres of forest are lost every year. And just to mention on that forests are essentially the lungs of the environment. Their photosynthesis processes converts all of our carbon dioxide into oxygen, which obviously aids all of us who need air to breathe. My third supporting claim is that rapid human population growth is detrimental to the environment. An increased use of natural resources is required to sustain the needs of urbanized people. In essence, this leads to deforestation, which is the clearing of forests for the use of agricultural, industrial, and urban uses. A National Geographic study confirmed that deforestation involves permanent end of forest cover to make that land available for residential, commercial, or industrial purposes. Furthermore, rapid population growth leads to what is called the heat island effect. Heat island effect is defined as a metropolitan area that is significantly warmer than the surrounding rural areas due to human activities. According to the EPA, the average temperature of a heavily populated city can range anywhere from 2 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than the surrounding areas. Heat island effects can affect communities by increasing the summertime peak energy, air conditioning cost, air pollution, and greenhouse gas emissions, heat-related illnesses and mortality to people, and water quality. In conclusion, urban sprawl negatively impacts the environment on a global scale, on the grounds that urban sprawl increases pollution, 2, urban sprawl threatens biodiversity, and 3, rapid human population growth is detrimental to the environment. Thank you.
All right, the structural stuff is pretty solid, although I think you need smoother transitions when you get to the body of the speech. You do have some good evidence that talks about the dangers of sprawl, although none of it's quantified when it comes to the impact, for example, on either the planet or on human beings. You talk about pollution, for instance, on that first point, and I'm wondering, well, how much more pollution occurs because of sprawl? It's just kind of an assumption that more automobiles mean more pollution. That might be true, but if they're not traveling long distances, or if they, how much more pollution occurs because of the distances they have to travel. It seems like there should be some information on that particular point, and that felt a little bit thin. On the issue about the wetlands and about the deforestation, that second and third and fourth point all seem to kind of fit together because they're all based on the loss of either farmlands or forest area, and it's a combination of biodiversity that you're talking about and potential lack of ability to absorb the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And then we also get back into some of the other issues concerning the hazardous chemicals that are released as a result of pollution, because we have these heat islands and that sort of thing. So this is all very good theory stuff, and I think it's explained, but like I said, it's not really as quantified as it needs to be. We've had years and decades and decades of urban sprawl, so we ought to have some ability to point to it and say, this is caused, like you said, the acid rain that's taken over. So there should be some quantifiable examples that you could point to that would illustrate the dangers of acid rain that resulted from sprawl. We've had a decline in the amount of forested areas or the wetlands. How many species have been wiped out? The theory is explained, like I said, but sometimes the follow-up just feels a little bit thin. You do deliver the speech clearly, but I do think there's a lot of reading in the presentation, and it sounds kind of mechanical as a consequence. So it's well organized. There's good data in the speech, but I think you need more data that quantifies those kinds of things, and I think the delivery needs to be a little bit sharper. All right, thank you.